Hello everyone, this is Black117 here, and today we'll be going over one of the more popular restrictive Pokemon that's been getting a little bit of traction over the past month, as this is a Pokemon that is kind of like sort of the counter, or the not counter, but like the counterpart to Kyogre, as we are going over Groudon, so for the Sun series. I will cover some stuff from Moon series, just maybe like a little bit of Theorymon here and there, mostly the Z moves, but we'll get to that when the time comes. So let's just go into Groudon. So typing wise, it's pretty neutral. I think the only thing about ground types is that yeah, you're pretty much able to hit a lot of things with neutral or neutral damage, as well as, however, the thing is, water types, grass types, and ice types can or coverage options are pretty much going to screw Groudon over. Especially the fact that in this format, like, there's an abundance of water and grass type Pokemon, and even Pokemon with ice coverage. So yeah, and then not only that, um, like ground, like but ground, like Groudon's like relies heavily on ground type spread damage. So if any flying type Pokemon are around, then well, you're gonna have to rely on another coverage option, like let's say Rock Slide. So we'll get to that in a bit, but so yeah. For BSTN abilities, Groudon as a cover legendary has one of the best BSTs in the game, especially with its high 150 attack stat, being able to like even like have the potential to set up and just abuse its high attack stat with items. So and not only that, its physical defense is really impressive as well, with 100 and HP and 140 defense. So they're able to withstand some of the strongest physical moves in the game, especially in a format with like that has like access to all the I quote uber slash restrictive legendaries, like, so Galeo and even opposing Groudon. So yeah, for its ability, Drought, it's kind of like it kind of helps Groudon in a way that not you might in a way that you might think. Like, it's mostly for like to reduce the power of water type attacks by 50%, since its other counterpart, Kyogre, can pretty much hit this thing for super effective. But if it can get in Grout, or you get in Groudon safely, then you'll be able to take water hits less. You'll still do a chunk to you, keep that in mind, but that's Groudon for you, so yeah. You also have the bonus of having fire type moves being increased in power, so there's that. So why use Groudon? So even though like Groudon did get a nerf via like the lack of primal orbs, or or access to its other form, to its other primal, as in primal Groudon, Groudon's still like one of the best like physical attackers in the game. Like 150 attack, 140 defense, and with some of the strongest spread coverage in the game, with like Precipice Blades and even like physical coverage, few Pokemon can be able to like take a hit from like Groudon. Even like if you consider the fact that like most of them have like about, yeah, like you're about average or like above average at best, like defense stats. Even then, Groudon has like 150, so yeah. And then like it's one of the few Pokemon that can actually I don't want to say counter, but kind of like evaporate, not evaporate, but like kind of like take on Kyogre, sort of like reverse its weather. It can't be a direct counter, but it's a good check to it. So yeah. And one fun thing about Groudon is that it has multiple forms of speed control methods, like that, like, or it's more so a recipient, in the sense that like Pokemon like Cresselia, Bronzong, Yveltal, like these Pokemon, or like, or etc. Like they, like Groudon can like use like, or be in like multiple forms of like speed control, whether it be in Tilt Wind, in Trick Room, with Icy Wind, Thunder Wave, etc., etc. So another thing is that to notice that Groudon, like with Trick Room teams, like notably, you have access to gravity, so you could just remove the um It basically removed like everyone's like just ground everyone with the gravity, and then just have like Groudon just use Precipice Blades to hit every flyer and levitate mon, which is really fun. So, and then lastly is that if if Groudon does get Sword Stance boost, and you can, and if you can like position or protect Groudon at all costs, then it's gonna be very dangerous to stop. So yeah. So in terms of notable move coverage, of course, Precipice Blades pretty much stands out as its exclusive slash best move, since it's spread damage and it's 120 overall. I think it's like 45% of power, like averaged out, like when dealing it to separate Pokemon. So, but still, you're doing like damage to both opponents, which is incredible. Instead of just hitting yourself with Earthquake. So yeah. Then you have Rock Slide, which is fun to flinch stuff. Fire Punch to hit like certain Grass type Pokemon. Protect because in case your opponent you want to like stall out certain turn or whatever, or Scout. Protects there. Sword Stance to boost your already high attack stat even further, or even mitigate like Intimidate drops. So Stomping Tantrum is pretty much a move that's come up in popularity recently. So as it's kind of like giving Groudon like a way to hit like for immense damage if it's like gets faked out. So against a certain target. So and then you have Thunder Punch just to smack water types in the face. So there's other coverage like Rock Doom, Stone Edge, Roar, just a phase, Bulk Up, Earthquake, Bulldoze, Iron Head, and even Fissure. But those are like sort of like self-explanatory or just like footnotes. So in terms of items, Groudon has access to several like good item choices such as Life Orb, Choice Band, and like, even Soft Sand. Since you're able to like boost the power of its either ground type moves, its attacks, or its moves in general, like and it's self-explanatory if you think about it. Like having a high 150 attack stat and you're powering up its physical moves, kind of makes sense. So here you have Pachot and the Rindo Berry because Groudon's weak to grass and water type hits, so being able to like withstand at least one of them and then retaliate back is really nice. So you could also try Yachi Berry, but like it's not, ice is not as common. So there's also recovery berries you can gain access to, so such as 50% merit berries like Agua or Papa Berry. So, and last but not least, Groundium Z, which will come into effect in 2019 or Moon Series, but this pretty much gives Groudon like a one-time nuke, and it's pretty much strong. It's stronger than the Z Earthquake or from like previous formats from like from like VGC 18 and VGC 17. So having access to that will be nice. So as you can see, like even without like Groudon's red orb, quote unquote, it still has access to some of these items choices that could give it some utility. So form of utility or offense to pressure. So yeah. So we'll just go into like the movesets. So the first set's pretty much a fast lizard, or the a jolly or adamant set, which just max speeds with access to life orb. So you pretty much outpace anything below base 90 or speed tie with it. So but you have access to Precipice Blades, Fire Punch, Rock Slide. Fire Punch is basically just to hit Ferrothorn and like Ludicolo or other grass types for hard damage, or in Rock Slide just for hitting, or let's say Yveltal for like super effective. So yeah. You do have access to Sword Stance. As you'll see, like with Sword Stance, you're able to like augment Groudon's power even further and just like plow through opposing teams for heavy damage. So, just think about it. Like Life Orb plus a +2 Groudon is something you won't be able to face. So, unless you have like offensive pressure of your own, so as well. So, as you can see, some of these damage calcs with even with Life Orb or without the boost, mostly. But with the Life Orb, you're able to do like kill some Pokemon like Xerneas, Kyogre, Necrozma, Dustmane Necrozma, Yveltal. Like these, like if you can see, like you're able to like two-shot almost every, nearly two-shot almost every Pokemon and after a Swords Dance, you're pretty much gonna be like threatening both Pokemon with Precipice Blades. So yeah. Second set is a sort of an innovation, not an like or not an innovation, but someone that's became very popular, rise by I think in Philadelphia regionals. I forgot the exact player's name. But with because like I think this is I think it's Angel Miranda's team, Groudon's set, which basically it takes advantage of both using Choice Band to like augment Groudon's stupidly high attack stat even further. You're just hitting for like immediate damage output just right off the bat, and you have access to Stomping Tantrum. Now, I did mention before that Stomping Tantrum is really nice in doubles since if a Pokemon tries to fake out, let's say Groudon, it'll have access to a 150 power ground type, single target ground type hit. And that's already scary in of itself, if you think about that. Because Groudon having access to like that type of power with the Choice Band is able to like, as you can see from the damage calcs, it can pretty much nuke, let's say, a Cernius or like and even it's an opposing Groudon with some prior damage, so that's really fun. So, and it could also take out like an Incineroar, which is pretty amazing as well. So yeah, even when it takes into when an Incineroar tries to switch in. So yeah, I think the other thing is that like the set also outspaces like below neutral base 70s, so you do need like some form of speed control in that aspect. So yeah, and then the last coverage like move slots are basic coverage for like Rock Slide, Thunder Punch, or Fire Punch. The choice is yours for coverage. So yeah. Then you have Berry Groudon, which is basically like having a Groudon with a 50% berry, and it's really helpful just to have like some extra bulk with some Spadef and with the 50% berry, like let's say a Papa or Gua, Wiki Berry. Oh no, I don't think Wiki Berry works because I think no. Is that how it works? But I don't know. But I think for sure Agua and Papa so that you don't get confused. So yeah. The thing is, the berry does help like take hits from Terror's Origin Pulse and Sun, so it's really helpful. And it makes use of, and with this, you could also take advantage of potentially getting up a Swords Dance, which is always nice. So, having access to like a boosted Groudon and having multiple chances at that is really nice as well. So, of course, you could have access to Precipice Blades, Rock Slide, or Fire Punch if you don't want to get, White Guarded to death. So, and also most White Guard users are very weak to fire anyway. So, as you can see, the damage calcs. Modest Kyogre's Origin Pulse is basically a guarantee for a kill after Sticky Fairy. It does almost 50%, but yeah, as long as you don't get critted, fine. Dustmane Necrozma, Sunsteel Strike is a guarantee for a KO after Figgy Berry. Mewtwo Sight Strike is pretty much a guarantee to a KO after Figgy Berry, but if you notice, if it gets above that 75% range, the Figgy Berry should activate. So yeah. Same with Ludicolo. You have a good chance to live a life orb, not a life orb, but a modest grass knot. And Ho can't really do much with you, but it's like a max attack Ho can't do much to you anyway. So yeah. And lastly, Lunala has a barely good chance to like two-shot you with Moonguide's Beam. So yeah. Then you have Trick Room set, which pretty much the same one, the same set as before. It's just optimized for Trick Room. You could like change the IB speed tiers just to make it to where like, oh, you want to utilize, let's say, you want us to have a certain Pokemon attack first before Groudon. That could be taken into account, I think. But otherwise, you do have a higher attack investment, or you could just optimize it for other defensive purposes. So yeah. So there's not much to say. It's just this set's more slow geared for Trick Room. So yeah. Then you have Moon Series set, which, to be honest, it's pretty interesting if you think about it, and if you look at the calcs. Like, with Sea Blades, or Sea Precipice Blades, after a Swords Dance, you're gonna be able to kill some very notable targets. Like, for instance, um, like look at the very bottom right there. Like a +2 Groudon's Tectonic Rage does like almost 100% to like 4 HP Lunala with Shadow Shield, which is basically multi-skill. And that's insane, if you ask me. And then you have +2 Groudon with Tectonic Rage with, and this is assuming you have Gravity up. You can actually just Oko Cresselia, which is really stupid in of itself. So, and you can also see all these Tectonic Rage calculations. You can kill Kyogre, like no, like just 252 Kyogres. You could pretty much almost Oko like Ferrothorn against Xerneas. You have a chance to Oko, which is really nice. And the Moongus pretty much dies to this if it's not like, you know, the BizDev sets. And well, Duskmane Necrozma, it's not gonna take that at all. So, and then when you have Swords Dance plus Z move, like just think about it like similar to how like Groudon's played with VGC 17. Except maybe this might be for Trick Room sets. So this is very threatening in of itself. So yeah. Coverage options is pretty much similar, like you have access to Fire Punch, Rock Slide, or Rock Tomb for whatever Pokemon or set you have to deal with, so yeah. So when using Groudon, be sure to have like good speed control and board positioning, as it's very key for Groudon to be able to like maintain momentum or offensive momentum and pressure against its opposing the opposing side, so figure out like a best way to get Groudon in a safely, or like pretty much lead with it. You could consider leading with it if you want, but like, or try to get Groudon in without taking too much damage. So, that's something to think about. So, try to get your speed control method for Groudon as quickly as possible, like whether it's Trick Room, whether it's Tailwind, or whatever, while maintaining board positioning and momentum. So, this is the thing about Groudon, because it's one of those Pokemon that you could just already start like hitting the opposing side with like powerful spread damage, but at the same time, your opponent they're pretty much reacting to your Groudon basically. So they're obviously gonna send in Intimidators and Flyers. So you can either take advantage of this while setting up your own Trick Room or your own Tailwind or even a Swords Dance with Groudon, or you just attack in general. So, and once you're in good position, just exert as much offensive pressure as possible with your coverage options, your stabs, ground type moves that are just set up in general. So, and I do want to mention that try to don't take any unnecessary damage to Groudon, because Groudon does have a very weaker special defense stat of like 90, even though it's amazing for like a Pokemon that's for most Pokemon. For legendary like Groudon, it's kind of poor compared to all the other restrictive legendaries that you see, like, you know, Lunala and Kyogre and Xerneas. Since even like in that sense, like Kyogre is still doing a chunk to Groudon, like 40 or 50%. That's still good, respectable damage, and they would just leave it in range of like one of your other second restrictive legendaries. So yeah. So that's something to keep in mind. So, and lastly, of course, like any other like Pokemon, Groudon loves having team support, whether it's like redirection, fake out support, speed control, or just a fellow offensive partner. So yeah. In terms of partners, Groudon really appreciates having fake out support, whether it be from Incineroar, Smeargle, Ludicolo, Raichu, Revile. Even Hitmontop, Scrafty, I think, on the other side would like have it. And for Intimidate support, it's really nice since Groudon's already like has a high defense stat, and with Intimidate, it's gonna be very hard to take down Groudon even from the physical side. So yeah. So bonds like Incineroar, Hitmontop, Landorus, Gyarados, whatever. So, and then you have a Grass type Pokemon. Since these Pokemon like are one of the few ways Groudon will need, or one of the few Pokemon that can take on like Kyogre. There's other grass types I didn't list down, but these are just examples. Like Venusaur is a good one since it also has access to Chlorophyll, and with Groudon's access to Drought, it doubles a Venusaur speed stat. So it really much helps against like the Xerneas like mirrors or the Xerneas matchups as well. So it has access to Sleep Powder. Groudon's a good defensive mon. Kartana has a high, and Bulu can just exert offensive pressure with its high attack stats and powerful grass type attacks. So, and lastly, Zarina is just a good support mon in general with being able to have Fent, which is a very weird priority move that actually breaks White Guard. So, which is something that Groudon would love. So. Then you have Redirection, which is pretty much a no-brainer, like Rage Powder, Moongus, Miracle, with Follow Me, Fake Out, Clefable, well not Clefable, but Clefairy with access to Frame Guard's really nice to boost its defenses. Cresselia has access to Trick Room, Gravity, and also Ally Switch just to like play for Force 50/50s, and also Volcarona just to like do Rage Powder shenanigans, and also like be able to like abuse the sun as well. So now we cannot go without mentioning that any GS format, the newer GS formats like Xerneas is by far the one of Groudon's best partners, since Xerneas is weak to steel and poison, and Groudon is literally a ground type that takes on steel and poison type Pokemon. So Xerneas, and one reason why you've seen so many Xerneas Groudon teams, as well as many in like the previous VGC 16 format, which then was a Groudon, it was a Primal Groudon and Xerneas, but for now we're talking about regular Groudon. So, and regular Groudon really appreciates having Xerneas be able to take on some of the special attackers once it gets those access to those like boosts. So yeah, and you also see all the top boosts here: Coco, Lele, Fiddy. Be able to like appreciate being able to Groudon being able to take on poison type Pokemon and heals. So yeah, as well as Whimsicott. Whimsicott's really nice support mon in general. So yeah, and then you have Steel types, which Groudon appreciates because Xerneas is such a huge threat in almost every team that you have to consider having a Steel. Like mons like Squirtlethorn, also has the credit of being able to take on Kyogre, Galeo, and Dustmane, being able to take on Xerneas, and Celesteela is always a good wall, and has access to White Guard to like take on like spread water type moves. So yeah. Then you have access to fire type Pokemon like Incineroar, Po, Heatran, and Reshiram, being able to take on grass types. Pretty much self-explanatory there. And then other electric type Pokemon like Coco, Raichu, Zapdos, Thundurus, and Zekrom take on opposing water types, notably the Kyogre, so it helps in that like matchup. So then you have gravity users. Most of them are gonna be like have some form of they're faster than Groudon, like Lele, like it has 95 speed, so Lele will be able to set up gravity, and then Groudon can just go for Precipice Blades. So yeah. Then you have Cresselia, like Bronzong, that have access to gravity and Trick Room, so as well as something like some other support like Helping Hand or like Hypnosis. So yeah. Sableye also has access to gravity, thanks to gravity, so and can take advantage, help Groudon take advantage of like setting up with Sword Stances and just going ham with the with its Precipice Blades. Even has access to Quash, so that way you could just force an opponent to just take a turn to like force an opponent to go last. So yeah, and obviously Finny, you could do a lot of things with crazy things with Finny and Groudon, with Finny being able to like swagger Groudon and Groudon just getting a major boost. Then you have others and mons that have speed control. Crobat with Tailwinds, same with Cortana. Oranguru is also scary if you think about it, since you can give Groudon like, let's say, Instruct, so you get double Precipice Blades. And I think Whimsicott has access to Tailwind and Trick Room, but yeah, so. Then you have Smeargle, Venusaur, Moongus, Whimsicott, and Bronzong. They all have access to sleep moves, whether it be Spore, Lovely Kiss, Sleep Powder, Grass Whistle, or Hypnosis. Being able to like this is you'll mostly see these on like more setup based Groudon teams that like use Sword Dance plus Precipice Blades to take advantage of like taking out multiple targets at the same on this in one turn. So well, not one turn, but like the setup itself takes several turns in order to get to the point where you could just OHKO everything in one. So then lastly, there are other restricted Pokemon that could serve very well with Groudon, like Kyogre. Um, very nice, since Groudon can take on some electric type Pokemon, and Kyogre is just a strong spread damage Pokemon as well. So Yveltal is very nice because you have access to Tailwind, and you could just threaten opposing Psychic type Pokemon, and just like deal with opposing like Dark type stab damage, other things. So then you have Dialga, which is another interesting Trick Room setter that's also restrictive, being able to like set up Trick Room and also deal damage as well, resist and take on Kyogre. And lastly, you know, Nala is very interesting because of its Shadow Shield ability. So yeah, being able to take less damage is always nice the first turn, but also be able to deal amazing damage back. So for checks and counters, water types and grass types are pretty much your go-to for being able to check or counter Groudon, like opposing Kyogre, Ludicolo, Suicune, Araquanid, Tapu Fini. Most of these Pokemon have very high defense stats or just resist ground in general, so yeah. Then, of course, grass types are the same, but they could also threaten the Groudon even more so, like Kartana, Venusaur, like Tapu Bulu, Ferrothorn, even Amoonguss. So they gotta watch out with if they have Fire Punch, so yeah. Then you have strong special attackers in general, since Groudon does not want to deal with a boosted Xerneas or like a Specs Nala, like a Life Orb, Palkia with Water or Hydro Pump, Lele with Specs, and even Mewtwo with Psychic Terrain could just threaten Groudon very hard because it has a very low Spadef stat. And one thing we'll mention is that Wide Guard can just take out, or not take out, but kind of render Groudon useless if once it's not able to take on or hit like the opposing side. Like the opponent could just like, if Groudon gets locked into into a certain move, let's say like Precipice Blades with Choice Band, and an opponent like has an Araquanid, you can just continuously spam Wide Guard while there's a Nala just picks them out. So yeah. You could try having other disruption based moves like Roar, Encore, Taunt. That's mostly before like setup based Groudon sets that attempt to set up, or they just like with Sword Stances, or like or whatever. So you have a way to phase out its attack boost, or just lock it in so that way it's rendered useless, or just prevent it altogether. So then you could have speed control of your own, just to have access to, like, let's say Ferrothorn in Trick Room, or Araquanid in Trick Room, or Kyogre, or a slow min-speed Kyogre. So that way you could just take out Groudon in your own respective not weather condition, but your own like your own condition or plan. Then you have flying type Pokemon. If Groudon doesn't have a rock type move, then like these guys are very, very nice. Like sort of checks and counters. Like Ho is notable to like, as it can like wall Groudon if it doesn't have like Rock Slide or Rock Tomb. So like keep that in mind. Same with Yveltal, as it has access to like Foul Play just to hit Groudon really hard with its own attack stats. Celesteela can actually leech down Groudon as well, though it has to be worried about Groudon setting up multiple Dragon Dances. And then Rayquaza is really fun because you could just render the whole water type effectiveness, like having it out again with Rayquaza and Kyogre on the same team can be very scary for Groudon, since now Kyogre could just hit Groudon for like super effective without any reduction from like drought. So yeah. Then you have ice types, though uncommon. These guys can actually be very threatening for Groudon, like Kyurem White, Kyurem Black, Alolan Ninetales, and Abomasnow. Having access to like Blizzard, Ice Beam, etc. Just being able to hit Groudon on this low Spadef side, so yeah. Then you have highly defensive Pokemon like Ho, Pearlthorn, Amoonguss, Araquanid, and even Mantine. They all have can actually wall or like take on Groudon in some way or fashion. So whether it be to spore it, to like seeds, or just power whip it down, or hey, just go for the Sacred Fire burn. So yeah, or just block it out with its Prisma's Blades White Guard. So yeah, of course redirection is always another option if Groudon has to lock itself into like a let's say like Fire Punch or Stomping Tantrum that could help you out. And Intimidate support can also wear down Groudon if it's not like a setup variant. So, and lastly, of course, you have a status or a phaser. Let's say something that could like either burn it, Groudon, or like just face it. It's high like its sword stance boost. Like let's say Haze or Whirlwind. So yeah, or Clear Smog. So overall summary, Groudon's one of the best restricted Pokemon in the Sun series, and de facto ground type. Even with all like the nerfs it got, even with the nerf it got without having the primal, like having access to like a Red Orb, and thus primal Groudon, you still have access to other things like items, and you still have like partners that could just pair very well with Groudon in general. So yeah, and even then, like few Pokemon are gonna be able to take Groudon's high attack stat base moves anyways, like look at Prisma's Blades, look at like Rock Slide, Fire Punch, and Sun, and you factor with Sword Stance and 150 attack, like you could like threaten several teams with that type of damage output. So it does require a good amount of board positioning and proper play to make the best use of Groudon, but the trade-off is just like immense offensive pressure, or basically you're being able to like inflict massive damage to the opponent, or even just KO stuff in general. You just gotta be wary of like water, grass, and ice type moves in Pokemon, since Groudon doesn't want to face them in general. And without its primal, which once it gets access to its primal form, it can face those Pokemon, but for now it can't. So, and again, as I mentioned, like yes, losing access to like Red Orb and Desolate Land, it sucks for Groudon, but at the same time, you have access to like things like Life Orb, Papa Berry, or Choice Band just to like augment its attack power, moves, or its or give it some like HP recovery. So yeah, and I'll end it on the note that you have to like prepare for Groudon. Like it's definitely gonna be one of the more like common restricted legendaries in the format, especially like with its high attack stats. So I'm gonna be ending off the video here. So hopefully you guys learned a thing or two about Groudon in the VGC 19 Sun Series format. I think some of you might know this like information, but for starters, like I did make this guide just so that you guys know sort of like a rundown of what Groudons are paired with, or how to deal with it, or what common sets you would see. So I might make some more VGC 19 content in the future. Well, we'll see. So, but anyways, with that being said, hope you guys have a great day. So take care, everyone.